Good morning. Welcome back to Curvy Girl Keto. If there's no little red live box at the top, then you're on the replay. So please put a hashtag replay in the comments. And if you're catching this on my YouTube channel, then welcome back. So today we're going to talk about net carbs versus total carbs. Seems to be a major stumbling block for people. So we're just going to cover it in a very simple way because the science behind it can get really intricate and really tricky. And if you try going down that rabbit hole, like you'll just walk away because there's a lot to it. And it has to do with everything from food labels to how things are reported to how things are calculated. So first, on the very basic level, net carbs versus total carbs. So total carbs are what's listed on most of our Canadian and American food labels, okay? Total carbs, which is why when you look at even like a bag of spinach or broccoli or anything like that, pardon me, the carbs are highish, right? Because all of our carbs come from vegetables, which is not a bad thing. And so people will subtract the fiber from that number and get net carbs. People also will subtract sugar alcohols from the total carb count. So if you look at some sugar substitute drinks or like zero type drinks, I don't want to list any brand names, but if you look on your label and you see sugar alcohols, so if there's 6 grams of carbs in that drink and 4 of them are sugar alcohols, people will subtract the sugar alcohols for a net carb of 2. And I'm going to weigh in on that. So first of all, when you're talking about subtracting fiber, there are 2 kinds of fiber, right? Good morning, Jules. There's soluble and insoluble fiber. And so if you're getting technical, the only kind of fiber you can subtract is the soluble kind because it's the only kind you can digest. But our food labels in Canada and the US do not distinguish between the two. So I play it pretty safe. First of all, there is no soluble fiber in sugar alcohols. I do not subtract them from anything, nor do I drink anything really with them in there. But if you have a package that has 6 grams of carbs and 4 grams of sugar alcohols, the net carb rule says you can subtract the 4, but that's not soluble fiber. I would not subtract it. I think it'll put you over. But if we're talking about eating, some spinach or leafy greens or broccoli or avocado, those are made up of mostly fiber. So I will use net carbs for my vegetables, okay? Or rather, I feel like especially in avocado, which is all fiber and fat, which is exactly what we need. I don't really even count. It's a wash for me for an avocado. I'll eat a half an avocado or a whole avocado almost every day. So if it's the right foods, like if you're trying to look at a package of Pringles or like a Snickers and say, wait, there's, 1 gram of fiber in there, I can subtract that. Hi, Deb, from the total. I wouldn't do that. You're probably not. You're playing an unsafe game. It's a slippery slope, okay? So when I say in my past videos that you should be 30 grams of carbs or less, that's total carbs. When people talk about net carbs, they'll often say stay under 20. They're usually talking about net carbs. But I like to do total just because I feel it's more pure for me. And I just kind of know what I'm bringing in, okay? So good morning, Rosemary. Hi, Deb. So total carbs, if you're new, especially, total carbs are the way to go. Do not complicate it with another like math equation or do I count this or do I not count that, because it's a slippery slope and it's only one kind of fiber that can actually be subtracted, not both, and that's not broken out on the label. So to be safe, go with total carbs. Now, having said that, if you are actually tracking properly your total carbs, some people, some men more than women, but they can go as high as 50 total carbs and still be in ketosis. But you're an individual. You'll have to see for yourself what works for you. So we talked before about the urine strips. and there are urine strips that you can buy at your pharmacy to see if you're peeing ketones out. And those are very helpful in your first months, because sometimes you don't know what kind of foods throw you out of ketosis. Are you over carbs? Are you under carbs? You don't know. So that really can help you. So that helps you gauge how many carbs you can actually tolerate and stay in ketosis. Now, absolutely, I mean, if you stay under 30 grams of total carbs and you are actually counting everything and measuring, you will definitely be in ketosis. But people, you know, and I'm guilty of this. Like, I want to live my life. I want to be normal. So I don't weigh every gram of broccoli that I eat. I don't weigh everything. So I'm kind of eyeballing, you know, half a cup, whatever. So using total carbs for me gives me that wiggle room, right? So that if I'm aiming for 30 grams of total carbs and it ends up being 35 because I put more veggies on my plate than I thought, I'm still fine. And you get to know, your body will tell you. So the strips are good until you learn about your body, but your body will tell you when you've been kicked out of ketosis. So I gained on the weekend 4 pounds of water weight just by eating too much cheese. So is cheese a keto food? Absolutely, but I went overboard. I had a charcuterie tray out and I ate too much cheese off of it, and the next day my rings were tight. Everything felt tight. I was carrying water weight and I could feel it, and the scale was up 4 pounds. Is that fat? No, that's water weight. And so I'm not worried about it. It will go away, but it just reminds me that just because it's a keto food, it's not unlimited, right? It's not unlimited. It's just, you still have to track your portions and things like that. So the other thing I wanted to mention, which was in my title, is like get on or get off. So keto especially is you kind of can't half-ass keto. You're either doing it or you're not doing it, because it's very dangerous health-wise to switch back and forth between a high-fat, low-carb diet and a high-carb, low-fat diet. Very hard on your body, because, and I'm not talking about the occasional like meal or something while you're on a keto diet. A diet is what you eat over the course of weeks and months, not what you eat in one meal or one day. But I'll see people who, you know, they're high carb, low fat one week, and then they're keto the next week, and they're flipping it back and forth. And that's really hard on your heart. It's hard on your organs. It's hard on your body, because your body doesn't know what to do. You're confusing it all the time. So when on the ketogenic diet specifically, or even if you're just doing low carb, and if you guys want a video on the difference between a ketogenic diet and a low carb diet, I can do that. Just put it in the comments. I'll answer your questions. But especially on a ketogenic diet, you kind of want to make that decision and run with it, and, you know, until you get the health benefits out of it. And there are some major health benefits that come from a ketogenic diet, and weight loss is just sort of a bonus. The mental clarity, once you're running with it, all your numbers come down, your sugars, your cholesterol, your blood pressure, all of that comes down. Your body starts to regulate itself. Your brain functions better. It runs better on fat. You're clearer. You remember more things. So there's so many benefits to it. Okay. And weight loss is just a sidebar. Even though that's why probably most of us started doing it, I found so many other benefits from it. But one thing I know for sure in the research that I've done is you can't flip-flop. So maybe if this isn't for you to be all in, like maybe low carb is the way to go. And when you're low carb is considered anything under like 150 grams of carbs. So if you're doing low carb, you have to be a little bit more particular about your calories, because you'll have to definitely be in a higher calorie deficit if you're eating more carbs. So you really got to find what works for you. If you have any kind of metabolic issues, like I have ovarian disease, I have thyroid disease. I hate the word disease. I have a thyroid thing and I have an ovarian thing. And so those are metabolic issues. And if you have metabolic issues, carbs are just harder for us to tolerate. So even if we're following the rules, saying like I've stayed under my 150 carbs on a low carb diet, I'm still gaining, because our metabolic issues, our bodies just don't work the same as everybody else's. basically there's some kind of a barrier that doesn't allow our body to access our stored body fat, which is why we keep gaining. And even though we've got all this fat on us, we still get those hunger signals. We keep eating. Okay, but there's a block where your body can't reach in and grab those fat stores off of your body. The ketogenic diet removes that barrier and allows your body to burn its own fat for fuel. And that's kind of like a huge win for anybody with metabolic damage. Okay, so of course, the old adage is true. Not everything works for everybody. You have to kind of get into it and try it and journal it and see what's working for you and what's not. I felt immediate improvement, immediate results. Even before I saw the results on the scale, I immediately felt less like bloated, less full, less water retention. You know, my finger joints didn't hurt because they were swollen all the time. Immediately released all of that. So that's why it works so well for me. But it is like a sensitive kind of scale, right? So different people have different triggers. You got to work through it, and I'll work through it with you. I'm quite happy to go through with you, look at your journals. We can see things pop out at us that may be stalling you or triggering you. Some of them, for me, it's cheese. Cheese is, I love it so much, and it has kind of replaced that sweet that I need. It's crazy. I could eat cheese all day, every day, but you know, too much cheese gives you problems in other areas as well. For some people, it's like peanut butter. They can't have a tablespoon of peanut butter. They binge on it, so they don't keep it in the house. Or nuts, like a tin of nuts. Maybe they can't eat 12 almonds. Maybe they need to eat the whole can of almonds, which it's a keto food, but you're gonna put you over carbs, over calories, because they're very calorie dense, and that you also might get an inflammatory response from them if that affects you, because everybody's different. Okay, so I'll be happy to help you. Ask all your questions. You guys have been pouring them in. I've got a whole notebook full of your questions that I can do videos on, but please keep sending them, and I kind of want to see